This is the new Chemo pull saw, and I want to talk about some key features on this saw that set it apart from the crowd. Um, I've used a variety of pull saws, from gas powered to cordless electrics like this, and I think the first thing that stands out is robustness. Um, this pull saw is build quality is excellent. You can tell I've got an extension rod from one of my other electric pole saws. It's an aluminum rod, so it's very sturdy. However, just holding them together, you can see how they compare. The diameter of the shaft on the Chemo is much larger than the diameter of the other electric saw that I have. Believe it or not, some saws, some electric pull saws, the shafts are actually made of fiberglass, so they bend and curve as you extend them. Speaking of extension, this saw is easy to extend. You don't have to carry around three parts, the handle, the head, and an extension rod. If you want to make it longer or shorter, it's telescoping. So you just lift this lever and you can pull it out, make it longer when you need it, shorter when you need it. Don't have to carry any tools with you, and no extra parts. So that's very handy and quick. The second thing I want to talk about is basically ergonomics. This saw has some really key features that make it a lot easier to use, a lot safer to use. The first one is the articulating head. It's very important when you're cutting to keep the head over the branch. So you don't want to be cutting at an angle vertically like this, because the saw will pinch in the branch, and that can cause damage to the bar. It can hang up the chain. If it gets hung up in the tree, it can cause damage to the shaft, and it can twist and physically harm the user. So this, if you're cutting it at waist level, a straight shaft like this is fine. You're cutting at waist level, so you're up, you're over the branch, or even as high, maybe shoulder level. But as you go higher up in the tree, you want to be able to set this at an angle. This one has three positions. That's the second one. So let's say just a little bit overhead. And then as you go higher up the tree, you can set it at a different angle. So you're always over the branch. All the saws that I've used before are either fixed in the straight position, which is actually really dangerous, because as you get higher up, the saw gets to a point where it's almost cutting vertically. It's got to pinch, especially with larger branches. The other electric saw that I have, it's always at an angle. So if I'm cutting low branches, I almost have to kneel down. So that's a really good feature on this saw. Another thing, again, speaking of ergonomics, is the handle. Sometimes when branches aren't straight out, you have to kind of twist and curve to twist your arm, twist your body to get the blade in the correct position. Here, instead of twisting your arm around or your hand around, you can adjust the tilt or swivel the handle. So you can actually turn the saw without twisting your arm and twisting your wrist, which allows the user to maintain a steady, balanced posture while cutting, which is very important. The last thing is the fact that it does come with a harness. So you can adjust this so for your fit, so that you can put the harness over your shoulders, take some of the weight off, and it also allows you to grasp the saw more firmly. Steady. Harnesses often aren't available from other manufacturers, and if they are, that's an extra expense. This one comes with it, so I think that's wonderful. Finally, I like the fact that the saw has toolless adjustment. Metal expands when it gets hot. So you can have the blade tension set at just the right tension, where it drops down about 1/8 of an inch and then snaps back. But as it gets hot, after a cut or two, it's going to loosen up like this, and you're going to have to adjust it, tighten it again. On most saws, you have to take other tools with you, carry wrenches and stuff in your pocket, take this top plate off to make the adjustments. That takes a lot of time. With this, you just twist this, you loosen the plate, you loosen the cover, and then you can twist this, adjust the tension, tighten the cover back down, and you're good to go. So it's just much more efficient, much easier. The saw also comes with, it's self-oiling. So you can fill up this reservoir, it'll last for a long time. Believe it or not, a lot of chainsaws, or some chainsaws that I've used, aren't self-oiling. You have to carry around a little can of oil, and after every 2 or 3 cuts, drip oil on the blade. So being self-oiling also makes it more efficient. So that's the Chemo pull saw. I highly recommend it. It's much more robust than any of the electric saws I've ever used. It has some really well thought out design. And I've had other Chemo products, so I can speak to the quality and longevity of these saws.